Good morning, Philadelphia. I hope you are all doing well. We have a nice show today with, actually, it's Fire Prevention Week.
It's Fire Prevention Week.
Yeah, so make sure your batteries are checked and replaced in your smoke detectors. Clean off the grease on your oven and listen closely to
Andy Kaufmann.
Andy Kaufmann, who is...
Not that Andy Kaufmann.
Not the Andy Kaufmann of the past from Taxi.
This
right?
is the Andy Kaufmann of the
Jenkintown.
future. Of Jenkintown.
Yeah. So he'll be here as a volunteer firefighter to talk all about fire prevention. Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another edition of Race on Main Street. Thanks for joining us. As always, you can check out all of our past episodes at raceonmain.com. There's tons of information, tons of community information and details about the neighborhoods in which you live. So check that out any time of the day. And it should be some, like I said, great information. Thanks for watching. So, side help.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's good. We haven't been together on the set in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
the energy of the universe has pulled us
yeah,
part of it.
I mean, going all the way back to the spring, it seems like, we've had a couple of, we had a couple of shoots where just one or the other of us wasn't around.
It's been a little bit of time. That's
Although
right.
I was in New York City this weekend with friends, and the one of the friends mentioned that she had watched the episode with Chef Larry.
Oh, cool.
So we chatted about that. So that sort of brought that. I think that was the last time we were on set together.
It might be. It's interesting about that because I think about that show all the time, and this is what I think about. I think about Chef Larry's jug of butter.
Melted butter. Yeah.
Jake and I. For those of you, my son Jake, we talk about that butter all the time because Jake has gotten into. He cooks dinner each night for us. So
really,
yeah,
Jake is cooking dinner.
He is cooking. So there's a little
that
bit.
That is a situation fraught with peril.
No, I don't think so. It's we're gonna at some point to talk about fire prevention and safety. So we spend a lot of time with him, making sure that he's and he's got classes in school that teach him just like we did as kids, all about cooking and.
He likes to cook.
Yeah, what has happened is, and I'm not, I won't even say the name, but one of the companies that delivers food to your home, where they deliver all the raw material and a recipe. So it's not like he's out shopping and doing that, but he's taking what they deliver, making it, he's creating some of his own stuff within what they're doing.
Right, but it's real preparation. I mean, he's not just...
It's an hour.
He's not just shoving something into the oven and heating it up.
No.
Mixing ingredients and creating a sauce. And
it takes probably, the average preparation is probably like maybe 45 minutes, a little bit longer. He's a younger kid, so he's not, but he's good. He keeps everything neat and organized. Yeah. It's nice and clean when it's finished, and his whole thing is, if I cook it, my daughter Olivia, has to clean it.
Clean up the dishes, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's a fair trade.
Yeah, so Joanne and I get a fresh cooked dinner.
Hey, your kids get to a certain age and they start, there's chores to be done, and that's, it's good for the kids, but it also takes a little pressure off the parents, I guess.
It's really been great. He's really sort of fallen in love with it. So
nice.
Yeah, he enjoys it. So we ask him, "You want to be a chef?" He goes, "I don't think they make enough money."
Depends. There's some. That Emerald guy seems to be doing rather well.
I know, but that's one.
And in Philadelphia, so we're Philadelphia, so the Mark Vetri seems to, he's doing well, and of course Georges Perrier did extremely well.
I think his attitude is someday they'll cook for him.
You know what? That's that's probably a better way to take it. If he's interested, I'm sure his Aunt Betsy would love to teach him to bake.
I'll run it by him. I often think Olivia would be a little bit more interested in that. She's expressed some interest.
Betsy always talks about how baking is just chemistry.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess cooking to me is similar.
So you'd have to basically dissolve something in a solution and
heat it up.
And then
it's deliciousness.
Some kind of reaction,
Right.
Heat it up, break it down, and burn the meat.
Yeah.
You know, burn it up and eat it. So it's all good.
Sounds wonderful.
So speaking of burning up,
Yeah.
so it is Fire Prevention Week as we shoot this episode. So we thought it would be good to have somebody on that could teach us about how to keep our homes safe from fire and other mishaps. So this week we have a gentleman from the Jenkintown Fire Company, Mr. Andy Kaufmann, and that's just a coincidence, I'm sure. But Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah.
Fire prevention obviously is a huge deal. So, you know, you're a firefighter, you're here in your uniform. One of the things I always wonder is, is it like a full-time job? How do you go about being a firefighter?
Well, one of the things you do to be a firefighter, you have to go to the fire academy. And every county has a fire academy. Philadelphia has one, Montgomery County has one, Bucks County, Delaware County has one. But we are volunteer. I'm a volunteer. I have a regular full-time job. So I do this when I'm available. I go to fires when I'm available. But I have as much training and I am certified as any other firefighter paid. So I'm certified, I'm an IFSAC Pro Board certified firefighter. I'm also a fire officer and fire instructor. I'm certified.
That's interesting. Now, my question though is, and this is what's always fascinating to me, or one of the things that's fascinating to me, is the vehicles that you use. And I think most people, I know we weren't really going to talk about that, but it's just, to me, the equipment that comes with it. You've been a firefighter for 40 years. The evolution of firefighting has had to have changed. So you had mentioned earlier that training was very basic when you first started, and now it's very, very advanced. So it's interesting to see.
Well, it's funny that you talk about the equipment, because in the independent fire company in Jenkintown, and going back through history, the borough of Jenkintown is a mile square, and there are two fire companies a block away from each other. Well, originally it was, the one company was Catholic, the other was Protestant.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's how it was. Now, my company's the ladder company, the other company's the engine company. But we used to have all mixture of pieces. And we have a lot of our old equipment. One of our first pieces is an 1812 hose cart, which was taken to the fire. We actually dragged it. We ran with it. But because York Road goes right through Jenkintown, and that's the Route 55, it was the 55 trolley. We used to hook it onto the trolley and let that take us to where we were going. We also have our old 1938 Buffalo engine, which we're restoring, and we take to parades and things like that. And then we have the mainline equipment. Right now, it's a 1995 Quint, which is a ladder, a pump, and all the other things, which is about to be replaced. We're getting the new truck will be in about November.
I got to ask.
Yeah.
How much does a fully tricked out fire truck cost?
Well, it depends on what kind of truck. The truck I'm talking about is over $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it's all computerized, it's all modern, but we replace them every 25 years. Mm-hmm. The engines, they're in the hundreds of thousands, and the support equipment is less. And obviously, as time goes on, it gets more expensive.
Yeah,
Sure,
of course.
sure.
The one of the things you said is you mentioned, I think, engine and ladder.
Yeah, that's my question.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
What's the difference?
What's the difference between the two? I mean, I have an idea in my head, but I'm not so sure it's right.
Well, in Montgomery County, they classify the pieces of equipment. So when we are dispatched, they dispatch whatever equipment. An engine is a fire truck with a pump on it and water and hose. That primary mission is to put the fire out. Then you have a ladder or a tower. The difference between those is a ladder that goes up 100 feet, 90 feet, 85 feet, but no pump on it. If it's a tower, it's got a bucket on the end, so it's like a platform. Mm-hmm. But then we have, most of the towers, like Tower 8, I'm also a member of the Huntington Valley Fire Company, and they have a tower. Tower 8 has a pump on it. So it pumps the water up, and we can use it as both. A Quint is a ladder with a pump. So that's how you tell the differences. And then we have, and Jenkintown also has what's called a tactical unit, TAC. It's a support truck with a small pump.
That's interesting. So there's an awful lot of different ways and pieces of equipment.
And one other thing I'd tell you, because if it's a combination, then there's the rescue with all the really cool tools, the
Right.
jaws of life and everything. But when we combine that with an engine, and we have one in Huntington Valley, that's a squad.
So the squad literally has everything self-contained to really run you from start to finish in almost any situation.
Squad?
Yeah.
The squad's got all the cool stuff on.
Well, it's got the rescue tool, so it's a combination
Gotcha.
rescue engine. Okay, because otherwise it's a rescue truck. If it doesn't have a pump on it,
Right.
it's a rescue.
And that's what I meant. By having a pump on it, you have the rescue equipment along with the
that
ability
Quint
to
thing
extinguish
seems
fire.
to have everything.
Well, the Quint doesn't have all the rescue equipment. There's only so much equipment you can
You
put
can
on these
shove
trucks.
onto one truck.
So you're basically, you need more than one.
Yeah,
truck
and
showing up.
they all support each other. One truck, depending on the size of the fire, one truck can do it. But generally, if it's something substantial, one truck won't do it. Like in the city of Philadelphia, if there's a house fire, they dispatch what's called 2 and 2, 2 engines, 2 ladders. That's how it works. The way it works in other areas, like in Montgomery County, each one of our towns, we pre-plan a particular building. So if it's a house and it's a confirmed house fire, it'll be us and another town, working with the other townships and the other fire companies, is called mutual aid. And we have agreements so that when we have a fire, and it's a real fire, we'll get dispatched along with other units in either Cheltenham Township or Abington Township.
So I have a question. You and this goes back to the first question about you and most of the folks being volunteer. So let's say a fire breaks out. I've always thought about this. What if all the volunteers aren't available? What happens? You know what I mean? I guess that could be a scenario that takes place.
It happens all the time, especially in the day.
When everybody's working.
I have a job, you have a job. If you were a firefighter, you couldn't, where you live, you couldn't go. And I can't go because I work in Bryn Mawr and I'm in Jenkintown. That's a long way away. So what happens is, during the day, we will dispatch additional equipment to get the manpower that we need. Because it's known that you're not going, like a fully staffed fire truck is usually considered 4, we have room for 6, okay? But we'll be lucky to get 3, if 4. So therefore, we get additional units dispatched as we needed because they have people.
Right, so you sort of band together with
That's
other
right.
communities. I guess you need to. Takes a village.
So
Yeah.
I want you to be able to, there's your fire prevention message needs to get out.
Sure.
But just before we do that, I just have one more
Go ahead.
kind of stupid question. You hear it's a 2-alarm fire, it's a 3-alarm fire, it's a 4. What does that mean?
It's the amount of equipment that's needed. And like Philadelphia's, what they considered an alarm may not necessarily be considered the same thing in the suburbs, in the other counties. But what happens is the initial response to a fire, if we can't do things with the initial response, then we ask for what's called an upgrade, and we ask for more equipment. As we ask for more equipment, the different types and mixes of equipment up the alarm. Okay, so when Philadelphia says strike a first alarm, strike a second alarm, strike a third alarm, they're adding additional equipment. In the suburbs, we don't say that. We will normally say we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that, and they dispatch it as necessary. So by the time we get done, when you add up all the equipment, that determines what type of alarm, whether it's a second alarm, a 2-alarm, or a 1 alarm, or a 3-alarm.
So then I have a question that I think leads very well into fire prevention. When you think about fire prevention, what do you think is just like the easiest, most basic thing that you can do that adds the most value, let's say to your home, in terms of preventing a fire? So is it have an alarm system? Is it have smoke detectors? Does it have a small fire extinguisher? Is it a combination of those things? But if you only could take one onto your island with you, what one thing would you do to be fire preventative?
Well, if you're asking for a device, I'll answer that question in a second. What is the most important thing you need for fire prevention? Common sense.
Okay.
Most of
Makes
the
sense.
fires and most of the things we run into are so common sense. So you wonder what happened. If you think about it, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
Like, can you? Because like I picture fire starting because, a faulty electrical plug or something. Like, what kind of commonsensical things are people failing to do?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you what is the most common fire.
Yes.
Let me guess. That doesn't say.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say the most common fire, well, I mean, cooking probably is the number one.
That's it.
Yeah.
You were discussing it.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring it up, the fact that your son loves to cook. But if you don't keep an eye on the food and you don't keep an eye on the things that he gets away from you, it is the most common fire we deal with, is cooking.
And what happens? People stop paying attention to and the oil boils over and
It's very simple.
it's a flashpoint or
We
something.
had, in Jenkintown, we had a fire, and it was a triplex, burnt the triplex literally to the ground. Cause of it, they were cooking SpaghettiOs or something, and they weren't watching it, and it got away, and it set the whole kitchen on fire.
We have to be very careful to say negative things about SpaghettiOs
like
here
SpaghettiOs.
because I'm a champion of them. So we just want to make
Or
sure it wasn't
whatever
the
it is.
SpaghettiOs'
Well,
fault.
hang on a
it was the
second.
cooker's
Whatever
fault.
it is.
But
Yeah.
what happens? Something has to ignite.
Well, very simply put, you're cooking a pot of food,
Right.
and you're not watching it, and it gets too hot, and it ignites.
The food
Because
ignites.
The food ignites. That's
Okay.
what causes it.
Okay. I didn't
And
know
then
that was
lights
the thing.
the kitchen wall on fire.
It,
Yeah,
it
so
lights.
the- like the
it just gets
wallpaper or
out of
something.
control. Absolutely.
And then people panic and then it doesn't.
There's a lot of that too.
Yeah,
Okay. There's a lot of that too. Another common thing.
I know.
You have in a wall outlet. You have 2 outlets, and sometimes you add an extension that maybe gives you 6. But when you find 10 or 12 or
Oh, yeah.
13 plugs,
That's bad.
the outlets aren't designed to handle that. They overheat, and that's what starts a fire. And especially if you run the extension cords underneath the rugs and the carpet. You walk all over them, it frays them, and eventually that will cause similar situation.
Yeah.
So we don't want to, we don't. I mean, we could talk about hypotheticals and all day, or if not hypotheticals, then certainly anecdotes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you the floor. I want you to,
What's the message?
what's the message that you as a firefighter want the people to hear?
Okay. Every year, the National Fire Protection Association for Fire Prevention Week puts out a motto. This year's motto is, be a superhero, develop an evacuation plan. That's a really important thing for anybody to do, because you don't know when it's going to happen. And if all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, the smoke alarm goes off, you want to have a plan that says, okay, this is how we're going to get out, and most importantly, we're going to meet here, wherever it is, okay? In addition to that, when I say common sense, everybody should practice fire prevention. Keep an eye on things. If something doesn't look right, if you're living somewhere, report it. And if it's your own home, fix it. If your stove and your oven are caked up with grease, you're just waiting for that. Friends of mine at Christmas, I go to their house for Christmas dinner, and he's British. And he loves making Yorkshire pudding, which is like, you don't know how much oil. I turn around and look at the oven's on fire.
Good thing you were there.
Turn the oven off, okay? I had him turn the oven off. I wouldn't let him call the fire department because all my friends would be there. I didn't want to be embarrassed. But we finally, everything got taken care of. Got the smoke out, and we did have blackened macaroni and cheese because there's macaroni and cheese in it. But things like that is common sense. Like I said, the outlets. Also, everybody should have smoke alarms, okay? Twice a year, and we always ask it in Fire Prevention Week, we send it home with the kids. change the batteries,
Whether they need it or not.
whether they need it or not. Okay? Now, you talked about equipment. First of all, one thing everybody should have, smoke detectors. They should be,
Okay, so
All right,
I don't mean to interrupt.
wait a second.
Well, I wonder how
have to-
many.
well, here's how many. I have like 30 in my house. So watch, just because,
Well,
yeah.
You're insane.
Yeah, I know. So I have one like, whenever I'm in a hardware store and I see smoke detectors, I buy them. And then I either add them or I replace them. They're all over the place.
do any of them have a carbon monoxide
They
detector?
all have carbon
Good.
monoxide. And I even have a gas one to sense gas.
Good.
I have everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a smoke detector in every room.
So, speaking on behalf of the non-insane population of the Delaware Valley, how many? Obviously, smoke detectors should have a carbon monoxide sensor. What should I have? Trick me out.
Okay.
Trick out my house.
Generally,
A fire
you want a
extinguisher,
carbon
too.
monoxide detector in every bedroom. Because
Okay.
when do you think the most common time to have a fire is? While you're sleeping. And it's the
thought it was
most
dinner time.
dangerous time. Dinner is too, but the most dangerous time
Is when you're sleeping.
is when you're sleeping, because you don't know what's happening until
All right, so
it's
you want
too
one of these
late.
things in each bedroom.
One in each bedroom, usually one in the hallway. You want to have one
I have
around
three.
the Well, that's fine, depending on how big your house is.
No, I have 3 in my hallway.
Well, remember, think about how a fire works. Fire burns, it puts out smoke. Where does the smoke want to go? It wants to go up to the ceiling.
Right.
Okay? It will find the smoke detector wherever it is and set it off. That's what sets it off. Okay? And then the smoke will fill the room starting from the top and work its way down.
So that's the whole stop, drop, and roll thing.
No, stop, drop, and roll is if your clothes catch on fire.
Oh,
Okay, that's all that is.
Well, they get
But-
crawl out of the house?
How do you want to get out of a room like that? You crawl, because that's where the good air is. You stand up, you're breathing all that. You don't want to breathe all that.
All right, so I got a smoke detector in each room. I got a smoke detector in the
You
hall.
want to put some smoke detector in the hallways and at least somewhere in a common area around the living room, the dining room. And same thing in your lower level, like family room, and definitely one in the basement.
I have 4 in the basement.
But don't put it by
and
the
I have a
heater.
carbon monoxide
Don't,
one.
You don't
put
wanna
it in
put
the
it by the
basement, but
heater.
not by the heater.
Not necessarily
No,
by
not
the
by the
heater,
heater.
especially the carbon monoxide detectors, because they're putting stuff off. Things like that happen, and you don't necessarily want to put it really tight in the kitchen, because if, let's say, one of the things, and this happened in our house where we were living, is the wife would be cooking dinner, and I don't know what she'd cook, but it will always set it off. Okay, you want to pick it up, but you don't want so much of it being false alarm. So what I'm saying here is, it's going to pick it up, and it's going to set it off. Okay. Now the other question is, as far as carbon monoxide detectors, one in the basement, and at least one on each level.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other detectors? Smoke detector, carbon monoxide?
I hope so. Hit me.
What else should I have?
Gas.
That's all you really need
That's all you
in
need.
your house.
Right.
Are those to have the fire. The other device, which is expensive, but is very effective, are sprinklers. They're very expensive to put in after you've put in your house, before you built your house. And a lot of townships require, when you're building a new house, you put a sprinkler system in. It's about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. But if you want to put it in after the house is built, it's a lot of money. But that is the best fire protection device ever invented.
Okay.
Because think about this, when it gets hot enough, it puts it out.
Yeah.
We had a fire at Philmont Country Club, and we get dispatched to stuff all the time. We got a water flow alarm, which is the sprinkler system. We go there all the time. It's leaking, but we're in the kitchen. 6 sprinkler heads were off. It was an actual fire, and it put it out.
Well, given that circumstance, so we're kind of coming up against it on time. So I just, if we can sum up, what you're saying is basically the common sense aspect: keep the dryer lint free, keep the stove clean.
Right.
Don't put 10 things in your electrical outlet.
Absolutely. 2 other things. First of all, do you have space heaters?
I don't.
Do you guys
I
use
have
space heater?
one. We have like a sunroom.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Because they're very dangerous. The only space heater I recommend are the ones that look like a radiator.
That's what
the
we have.
others have a glow. They actually, if something gets in front of one, it'll set it on fire. Jenkintown, we had a house fire caused by the space heater. The second thing, whether it's a wood fireplace or whether it's your heater, have your chimneys inspected every 2 years. And if they need it,
I just had it done.
I'll have them clean. What happens, and I just went through a class on this the other week, two things happens. One is you could get a fire in the chimney. The second is that the chimney liner, which could be terracotta, it could be metal, if it wears away, then the carbon monoxide is seeping into your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better get checked
We're
out.
actually getting ready to. We're gonna make the fireplace like electric.
That's what I have.
Is that okay?
It's gas.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to worry.
Yeah, that's
about,
fine.
I don't have to worry about the.
Well, there's no carbon monoxide.
No, there's no carbon monoxide.
There's not gonna be a
You're
chimney
not
fire.
See, that's the thing. You're not burning anything.
Right.
Right.
But that's the thing. That's why I have a detector that picks up if there's a gas leak.
Yes,
Right.
and that's good.
I have two of them.
Well, Andy, good information. You
Okay.
got a final word for us on fire prevention?
Like I say, you can always visit your firehouse. They'll be happy to help you out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask the firefighters. That's what we are here for, is to take care of you. And you can go, obviously it's Fire Prevention Week. This week, all the firehouses welcome the public in. So next year, during Fire Prevention Week, make it a point to go visit the firehouses and ask the questions you want.
All right. I have a question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
As we're getting out in the last minute or so,
What is the question?
do you know why they have the poles they slide down?
The fire poles?
Yeah.
The firemen slide down? I guess, didn't they used to sleep above the thing and they would come down the pole real fast when the alarm went off?
It used to
I
be
don't
they
know.
had to close off the stairs because the fire trucks were pulled by horses. And they would walk up the stairs and they can't walk down them.
The horses?
Correct.
Oh, how about that?
I don't know
Do
if
you remember-
that's true, but
do you have
that's
any
what I heard.
recollection of when we were little kids and Uncle Harry used to take us to the Margate firehouse?
I don't remember that, but I remember Mom or Dad taking us to the Marple.
No, but
I
when we
remember
were- we
going
used
up
to go
in that
down-
bucket.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
well that, but I mean, we used to play, because he was like a guy down there.
Yeah, yeah.
We used to play in Margate in the firehouse. We used to
I don't that
slide
I
down
may
the
have been-
pole and such.
Well,
Vaguely.
look, I got to tell you, most of us, especially we're volunteer, we don't live there.
Yeah.
We don't have poles,
No
okay?
poles.
Because of that, unfortunately, we have stairs. I mean, my company in Jenkintown
And
has
no
been there
horses.
for over 125
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, it's
Fair enough.
amazing. So then, all right, last thing as we get out of here.
Yes.
Don't forget, put a couple extra bucks in those boots when you come across the firefighters on the
you.
street corners collecting money to help support the volunteer fire company. Don't forget to check out all of our past episodes at raceonmain.com. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.
If I could, real
Oh,
quick.
wait a second.
Don't- Keep
Hold
the
the
thing
fort.
going, Tim. Keep
The
the thing going.
boots.
The boots.
The boots.
The boots.
That's not how it works in most
That's
of
not
the
how it works.
municipalities. You will get a mailing.
Yes.
Please donate. So please donate. That's how you do it.
All right.
There you
Did
go.
everybody- Here, put that.
It's here.
All right.
Okay.
So I said put it in the boot. Don't put it in the boot. When you get that mailer, please fill it out. Send a few extra bucks. It's probably not going to hurt you. If your attitude is let me send $5, send 20. It's not going to kill you, and it's going to be a huge help to your community. You never know when you are going to need those services.